know me. It's frightening how many novels of suspense I've written. But still, when I'm not recognized, it just kills me.
You enter the chilling world of the Stephen King library. Imagine an exclusive collection of horror, Pet Sematary, The Shining, Christine, the chart toppers, the books that became blockbuster movies. The Stephen King library, where the master is coming back to haunt you.
And thanks for tuning into the show, folks. That's part 3. That's all we have to say. Good night. No. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Geeking Poetic Podcast. This is part 3 of our part 2. This is episode...
So many parts.
Yeah, exactly. It's the second half, the dark half. Not really. It's all dark. Of our Stephen King retrospective, which we started all the way back in May of 2018. Mm-hmm. Only took us a year and a half to get around to the second half, but it's a lot to get. There's a lot to absorb.
Of stuff here.
Sure, yeah,
we've covered a lot of ground.
We sure as shit have. Mm-hmm. In the first part of our second half, whatever
part 2A.
Yeah, part 2A. We covered most of the 1990s, and then in 2B, we did the first decade of the 21st century, so from 2000 to 2009, and now we are at 2010.
The year we made contact.
It is the year we made contact, but we're here to talk about 2010 and on to... I'd say today, but not even today. We're looking at tomorrow because we're going to talk about a bunch of the upcoming King stuff that's going to be coming out. Before I go any further, I'm sure you already know, but for anybody who just might happen to stumble on this episode and it's the first time you've ever listened to Geeking Poetic Podcast, we welcome you. My name is Larry. As I gotta say it like
Salem's Lot guy?
Or Dave Richardson from the Gruesomes. My old buddy, he would go, Larry! Guy was a character. He is a character. He's a great guy. And across from me, 70,000 tons of metal love for all you all.
Getting close to it, yeah.
I wasn't meaning literally. I was meaning
when they put the cast on his foot, he'll be closer to it.
That's true.
See, we're still... For those who haven't already been informed, I broke Vito's toe the other day. Anyway, yeah, but he's still here. He's still breathing for now. They haven't had to amputate yet, and hopefully they won't. And then the third one here, the one that we affectionately refer to as Miss Cujo.
That's pretty accurate.
I was just going to say, for anybody that goes, geez, Larry, that's mean. Are you trying to say she's a dog? No, not at all. She's not a dog, but she is a biter. She gets bitey, folks. Anytime me or Vito say something smart alecky, if she's close enough, she lashes out with the teeth, man.
It's true.
She can't even, you can't see her right now, but she has a guilty look on her face.
We have enough videos of me biting things.
Exactly. She is a biter. She is our own little velociraptor and rabid dog wrapped into one. We have none other than
Megan Guess.
Yep. Even though we've covered 40 years prior of this man's career up to that, this last chunk here represents not only what I consider some of the best of the best, like some of the best King stuff, but also some stuff that just blows. I mean,
maybe he was doing blow up because.
To be fair,
he was still recovering from his accident.
Okay,
let's give him that credit.
Yeah, well, but what I was going to say is, to be fair, the stuff that blows here, to me, for the most part, is not King's fault. I think that the source material of his is all pretty good. Where I'm going to object, and you're going to hear about it, is going to be
yes, you will.
In some of the interpretations of it. Because what we are discussing here are not just the books, but also the movie adaptations, the TV series, the mini-series adaptations. We're covering all media, basically. Even talking about audiobooks and stuff, because some of these we're familiar with the audiobooks. Mm-hmm. And we are also only talking about the titles that we're familiar with, because there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen. So some of you guys out there might go, oh, I can't believe you didn't talk about such and such. And it's not necessarily because it's good or bad. It's just maybe we're not that familiar with it, or we just kind of picked out ones that we thought were
Interesting.
yeah, the most noteworthy to discuss and everything. So please leave comments and let us know if there's things you feel like we should have touched on or whatever, because we would like to know. Like, we genuinely want to know. It's not, this is not just like bait for like, you know, like and subscribe and comment. Like, we really want to know, like, if there's something where it's like, guys, you have to read this book. If you didn't, because there's so much of it. We can't read it all, you know, and there's other authors we like, and oof.
Yeah, believe me, we're trying. We're trying to read them all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books.
There is, man.
Yeah, so if you guys have specific recommendations, let us know. Let's jump in here. I think we're going to jump in with a one that Vito is familiar with, and we're talking about the novel from 2010, which is called Full Dark, No Stars.
This is a short story collection of 4 novellas, and this is King's, like, literally this title says it all. Full Dark, No Stars. It is the darkest stuff I have ever read by King.
Really?
Yeah, it's like terrible. Not like in a bad way, but like this is like really dark, depressing shit.
Ooh.
So first off, you got 1922, which is basically
Right.
which they just did a Netflix adaptation about 2 years ago, I believe.
Yes, in 2017.
17.
There we
Yeah.
go. And this is about a farm. A guy and his son literally murder his mom in her bed
Just to stay
on the
put.
farm. Yeah. And it's gruesome.
Right. Now, have either of you guys watched the Netflix movie of this?
Yes.
Yes. It's gruesome.
Yeah. Is it good though?
Yes.
I think it's really good. Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a gruesome way.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Just, I'll just say the cow.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Okay. Yeah.
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 Oh, no.
Oh, the cow.
Yeah.
See, now you're already you it's. I'm glad you said that, because just saying that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't want to watch it, because
The cow's in the building in the house with him.
Yeah.
The cow's in there with him.
the cow, like, take it, the cow bites it, huh?
But the cow's to cover up
Oh,
the
Yeah.
dead body.
Yeah.
right. Okay, I know. Okay, I knew that actually. I knew that
Yeah.
much about the story, because I know the general gist of this story.
King's got a fascination with throwing things down a well, man, with broken limbs and stuff. I don't know. It's
Well, King has
Yeah,
a
because it was pretty
fascination.
gruesome when they showed her.
and
at the bottom.
he had a kid that
Yeah.
bit it the same way in the stand. Like this 8 or 10-year-old kid fell
Right.
down a hole and he died
Right.
after the fucking apocalypse or whatever.
Right. But yeah,
Okay.
anyway, what other stories are in this book
The
besides
second one is
1922?
called Big Driver, which I
Okay.
believe they made a TV movie of, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, it's a female writer. She gets invited to talk, and on the way back to her house or hotel, she gets basically run over by this guy in a big truck and gets raped and thrown into pretty much like a sewer, and he leaves her for dead, but she's not dead.
Oh,
And she goes on vengeance to try to find this guy.
okay.
And there's a twist at the end that's pretty fucked up. Third one is Fair Extension, which is basically like this guy who makes a deal with the devil at this airport.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically gets wealth and riches, but at the expense of someone else's life. Like his friend gets cancer and stuff, but he all of a sudden becomes rich, and it's very, very dark.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, if there's ever been a time when I would have been possibly tempted into making a deal with the devil, it probably could have been at an airport. Because man, you know, sometimes you're like, I would sell my soul right now not to be standing in this fucking line and waiting for this fucking flight, you know, that's been delayed for 3 hours and now have to sit on a plane for 9.5 hours. So I take it you enjoy this one. You give it a thumbs up.
There's one more called A Good Marriage. A Good Marriage is based basically off the BTK killer. Do you guys remember that guy?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was interested in checking that one out, and it sounded like maybe he was a serial killer or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
she found.
What does
Yeah.
BTK stand for?
Bind, Torture, Kill.
Oh, I was gonna say, does it stand for like Born to Kill or something? It's like he's a BTK killer, and it's like, well, he's born to kill. I mean, that was a pretty dead giveaway, you know.
He was like the sheriff of this town in Kansas,
Really?
and he was a serial killer for like 25 years or something, and nobody knew it was this fucking guy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I guess if you're gonna be a serial killer, that's like the kind of, you know, you get those kind of jobs, man. You know, be like a sheriff, be like a surgeon, be like all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, so King basically based this off of that story. This is a business guy who would go out of town every once in a while. While he was out of town, he would find somebody, torture them, kill them, and then his wife had no idea, but then she found a box of stuff, and shit hits the fan. I'll just put it at that.
Okay.
No more good marriage?
Nope.
And it's not so good
Not so
marriage. You not so good. All right, but as far as the, do you have anything you want to say, Meg, about the 1922 Netflix show? Because you said you saw that. Because I haven't seen this yet. I heard so much about it. I heard about the cow, heard about all that and everything. But I mean,
Yeah, like Vito said, it's just a guy, and he decides, you know, he's going to kill his wife because she's determined that she wants to sell the farm. It's her farm. She can sell if she wants to. She wants a divorce. And he's like, no, we're not selling it. This is my life. And then he convinces his 16-year-old kid or something, his son,
he's
to
young.
help
Right.
brutally murder his mother.
right.
It is brutal, dude.
It is very brutal.
It's like a knife stab brutal where she isn't dying, and
Ooh, so this chick tried to sell the farm, but then instead she wound up buying the farm.
Sure did.
what a twist!
Yeah. So, but a twist in the end is it all goes horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And the
most
son
twisted
ends up,
way,
yeah,
and-
the son ends up going off, and he takes a really left turn.
A hard left turn. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
it's
he
multiple
tried to
dimensions.
escape it. You can't escape it at that point.
Yeah.
So
But okay, so you guys give this thumbs up?
2 thumbs up for
Thumbs
this
up.
one.
Okay, cool. So that sounds like that was a good television adaptation of a story.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Well, that's perfect because
this next one, not so much.
now we're going to segue.
Hope you guys are sitting down for the next 2 hours because we got a good one here.
Oh, well,
We're
we've
about to unleash Larry.
yeah, you are about to unleash Larry, but I think we all have something to say about this.
We do.
Because
We do.
we've all read this book, and to different levels, I think we all really like this book. And we're talking about the well, I guess you can't say it's non-horror because it's still got horror elements, especially the stuff that happens in Maine.
Right.
We're talking about the book 11/22/63. Now, for anybody out there that doesn't know what the book's about, it's probably a little bit of a giveaway by the title in that it does have to do with the Kennedy assassination. Specifically, what it has to do with is in modern day times, there is a teacher named Jake Epping. He lives and works in a school in Maine. He is going through a bad separation and then divorce with his wife. He's middle-aged. He's feeling kind of a little lost. You know, he's never been somebody who could deal with emotions very well, and not in the sense that because he's overly emotional, he's always been sort of
Cold and
unresponsive and not ever been very passionate about anything. As by pure happenstance or whatever, he frequents a diner owned by this grizzled old guy Al. And there's also a third character that was this guy Harry, who was the custodian at Jake's school, and Harry was mentally challenged and everything. And Jake comes to find out that through this whole story that Harry writes for him, that back in the late 50s, for unexplained reasons, Harry's father on Halloween night attacked his family with a hammer, he said, and murdered everybody in the family and brain damaged Harry. Anyway, so what ends up happening is, just by whatever chance, you never understand why this happens, but it turns out that in Al's diner, in the pantry, right?
Yes.
In the pantry, there is a portal that goes back to a set point in time in 1958, in late summer 1958. He decides to confide in Jake that this portal exists. Of course, at first Jake doesn't believe him until he convinces Jake through much prodding to go through this portal. Jake experiences it, comes back, and now believes. And what ends up happening is Al is dying from cancer and cannot make the trip back and forth anymore. But in his trips and everything, he's come up with a whole concept of how somebody needs to go back in time and stop Lee Harvey Oswald from assassinating Kennedy. And he's written all these notes and all these theories. He's got this whole thing, and Jake isn't totally buying into it, but he kind of starts to think like maybe this is plausible. Maybe this needs to be done. Maybe this is a sign. At the same time, it just so happens that 1958 is the same year that Harry's father committed those murders. And so Jake kind of gets an idea in his head that, well, I can go and stop that from ever happening. And then if that works, then I know I can go ahead and maybe I can stop Kennedy and maybe the world will be a better place. And, I mean, I won't explain any more about that because it just gets so convoluted as you would expect.
But it's such a great time travel.
It's one of the best.
Fights back.
Yeah.
And
so it doesn't make it easy.
Right.
And nothing's easy.
And what I love about it, he says the past is obdurate.
Yes.
So what I love about it is the fact that I love the idea that King addresses this, because so many of us, I mean, we did a whole episode talking about time travel. And the thing that people don't really think about is that you think about doing time travel as being something that would be awesome because, like, I could change this, I could fix this, I could write this, I could save this person, or I could kill Hitler or whatever. And you don't realize that doing that, you have no idea what the actual outcome of that would in fact be, because sometimes even with your best intentions, nature is meant to take its course. And this gets into that, into talking about whether or not nature is kind of like a sentient thing that will stop you and actually put, obstacles in your way to stop you from changing time and everything. It gets into all that. There's a really great romance story that comes in the second half of the book that's not cheesy and overly mushy and everything. It's very realistic. It's heartfelt. It's awesome. This book also almost had another terrible Stephen King ending. But thankfully, Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, read the manuscript or whatever of it, and Joe said, "Dad, you can't end this book this way. Like, you're going to disappoint everybody," and everything. And he kind of gave him some insight. And then King ended up rewriting the end, and the end is perfect.
Yes.
The end is great. It's a perfect way to end the story. It's awesome. And this, for me, for the book, this is like 10 thumbs up. This is one of my favorite books, at least of the last 10, 20 years. Like, this is such a good book, even far and beyond Stephen King standards. Like, and kind of like, what was the other one that was it Under the Dome, where he started having the concepts for Under the Dome way back, like when he was first coming up with stories. This is another one. He originally came up with the concept for this back in like the early 70s. And again, it was one of those things where he just realized like the amount of research and everything to go into doing this accurately,
historically accurate and all that,
right, was just way too much. So he just put it on the back burner. And then thankfully, then in the late decade of the first decade of the 2000s, he decided to revisit this, and he did a great job.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite books of all time, dude.
Yep.
Like, I lost my shit when I finished reading it, because Larry was the one who recommended it to me. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And this book is what got me onto my whole Stephen King reading phenomenon that took over my life for like 2 years.
From the look of
Right.
this table, I think it did. This table is full of Stephen King books.
And I mean, this in a way, it was what spurned us on to start this podcast, because Vito and I were talking about all this so much, you know, and it was because I've read a lot of these stories, seen a lot of these movies, and then and we were talking about it all the time on band trips and things like that, that I was just like, we need to just do this officially. Like, let's do a podcast. We dragged this one over here.
Conned me into this.
Yeah, we conned her into it, got her in because we knew she was a nerd, like the rest of us. And here we are. So this book means a lot to us. I mean, Meg, you only recently finally finished, because you started it a while ago.
Yes, you guys both recommended this book to me.
Couple years ago.
Several years ago, probably like almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I started reading it, and I just finally finished it like last week.
Right.
I hauled ass trying to get this done in time.
But
And
wasn't
then-
it good?
It was good. It was well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I finally made myself buckle down and get it read. It was very good. With Stephen King, like with Lisey's story, I was dreading seeing how big it was, and like, oh, he's gonna do the thing where he puts all this extra bullshit in it that I don't care about. And there's a lot of extra stuff in there, but it's not bullshit stuff. It all pertains to it somehow in some way.
It does.
And he's not like repeating himself over and over. And so it held my interest very well.
You could probably cut out, 100 or 150 pages out of this book and it would still be a great book, but
You still have like 800 more pages.
right. But I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. There are other books like It and stuff where there are just tons of parts of that book that I'm like, this is either totally pointless or just dumb.
Yeah.
And like not helping the story at all. And there's none of that in here. There are points in this book kind of around the middle when he's traveling across the South, going from Florida to New Orleans to Texas and everything, where it gets a little long and you're like, okay, move on. You've been in New Orleans long enough now. Just move on. You're only in 1960 or whatever it is. We've got 3 more years before the assassination occurs. Like, come on, like move along. But never to a point where I was like, oh, I'm losing interest in this book. It was just more like impatience, kind of like, okay, I really wanted to get to here because I'm really curious to see, but it wasn't just like yawn.
Yeah, it doesn't help knowing you have 3 more years to go.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yes, exactly. So it was more impatience than like boredom or disinterest.
Like the middle of the Stand novel.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta get the power turned back on. Okay, cool. 300 pages later, we still gotta get that power turned on, man. So,
Right.
dude, fucking get out of here already, man.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I never felt that way with this one. Lisey's story, yes. This one, no.
Right. And I mean, and while we're talking about it before we move on to the negative, let me just say, audiobook, fucking phenomenal.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Such a good, I've listened to a pretty fair amount of audiobooks, and this is one of the best ones. Like it's got to walk that fine line between like a movie and reading a book. I want it to be able to still like,
Visualize what's going on.
yeah, enhance my imagination for it. Excellent audiobook. Highly recommended, especially since it's such a big book. For any of you out there that are like, yeah, I was tempted to read it because I heard it's good, but man, that's a long book. Get the audiobook.
Yes.
It'll make it so much better, right?
That's what I did.
Right. Right. And it worked. Well, you know what? Real quick, to be fair, you were, unlike me and Vito, who love the audiobooks, you were never an audiobook fan.
No, and to be honest, I still have issues with it because I have a hard time connecting with the characters.
Okay.
But I'm in my car driving around so much that's what I do now, and it helps me stay focused on it.
Right.
So I'm able to I've got through a lot of books recently.
Yeah.
Doing that.
So now you're starting to like,
So now
dig
I'm
it.
getting into it.
yeah. So
I'm
that's
hoping with time the whole character connection thing will fix itself. We'll see.
in 2015, it was announced that to much of our trepidation but excitement that Hulu TV were going to do an 8-part miniseries based on 11/22/63. J.J. Abrams was going to be the executive producer of it. They got James Franco to be Jake Epping. It was I was so excited because by that point I had already read the book. I don't know how many times, probably 4 or 5 times at least by that point. So I've read this book at least a dozen times. And when I say read, I mean like I've listened to the audiobook and stuff too. Yeah, exactly. So I was so excited. I know we were excited. We were like, wow.
That's the reason I wanted to get a Hulu account.
That's the whole reason I got the
Yeah, you guys were super excited.
Hulu account. Yep, I ran out and bought that Hulu account. I've still got it. I mean, Hulu's cool. It's still got good stuff on there. There's plenty of, and they've got more good stuff lately. But yeah, that was like the selling point. I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna have 11/22/63, and then I started seeing commercials for it, and you know, I mean, they're just commercials, trailers, whatever. It's only a couple minutes, and I'm like looking at scenes they're showing, and I'm like, oh wow, that's not. I don't know what that context of that car crash and blowing up is, or with all those bugs in this scene. I don't. There's nothing like that in the book at all. I don't know what context that's going to be, but I went, all right, well, but you know, okay, that's what they do. You know, everything from Salem's Lot and The Shining on through all these other ones, It and so on and so forth. They've always changed a few bits of
except
it.
for the Langoliers.
Well,
just putting that out there.
Right. Okay. They've always changed things and they've had to compress them, you know, and there's things they're going to alter for different reasons. And I'm like, I can accept that, you know, even though I love it, the book, I prefer the miniseries, and people could think I'm crazy for that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was like, okay, that's fine, man. I'm cool with it. And then it finally came out and I sat down and I watched the first episode. And I have never been more fucking crestfallen that I can ever think of. I mean, I think of like, man, you know, I sat through like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, you know, like
Hey, Attack of the Clones is good, man.
Oh my God.
Really?
Vito. Attack of the Clones is a piece of fucking festering raccoon shit.
What do you know?
What do I know? What do I know?
Can we save any of this maybe for our Star Wars episode we're going to do in a few months?
No, because here's the thing. J.J. Abrams saved the Star Wars franchise with Force Awakens, but he fucking murdered the fucking interpretation for Hulu of 11/22/63. The fucking miniseries is a pile of dog shit.
All right, we were on agreement on that at least.
Because
yes, all around.
Because here's the thing, folks. I am fine with you having to adapt. I'm fine with you having to edit, adapt, switch some things around for logistical reasons, for time constraints, all that kind of stuff. They literally took the most basic premise of this book, which was Jake, Sadie, who becomes his girlfriend eventually, you know, Al owns the bar, Harry, his father tried, you know, murdered the family, blah, blah, blah. There's a time portal. We're going to try to save Kennedy. That's it. That is literally the only thing that is similar between the book and the miniseries. They changed every other facet of the fucking story. They took characters and made them completely unlike Bill, anything
that's when they lost me.
Unlike anything he is in the book. They completely wrote Maine out of it. Like now the things happen in Kentucky. So there's no explanation for why the horrible things happened back in 1958, because that's the other thing. Spoilers. The first half of this book ties in with fucking It.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big things that was so exciting about it. It was like, holy shit.
He meets Bev and fucking Richie.
Yeah,
man.
Bevy from the Levy and Richie are there. And it ties into the whole, like, the evil that possesses the town, so to speak. And that's why Harry's father did what he did. And that was the whole explanation for it. And getting into just when he goes back in time to 58 and he just pretty quickly starts to realize like something's wrong with this town. And that was like, especially if you're an It fan, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. It's not a sequel, but it's like an addendum, you know? Like, loved it. Fucking miniseries? Ah, fuck that. We don't need any of that. We'll just make it happen in Kentucky now. And we'll make it that he goes after Jake and he becomes evil and all this stuff because he thinks that Jake's trying to fuck his wife and all this stuff. And he's a drinker and everything. I'm like, oh, God. I remember watching that first episode and he's like almost immediately, like within 20 minutes or something, he's in Texas. I'm like,
it's like, what?
What? Wait,
you weren't even there for like 4 years.
It's like, he's already in Texas and like, what's going on? Wait, he just met Sadie? Like this shouldn't have even happened until like episode 4 or 5 or something. Like, ruined it. Like the three of us could take our fucking cameras and our green screen and our lights and we could do a better fucking adaptation of this book than they did. Shame on you, you motherfuckers, for ruining that. I really hope that someday, maybe before we die, they will revisit this and give it the proper, because this book, like I said, it's long. Did it need to be edited for a movie or series? Yes. Did it need to have some things logistically changed? Some things could be cut out because some repetition of ideas? Yes, that's fine. But this movie did not need to be rewritten. The story as it was perfect. And to rewrite it is arrogant and stupid. And I've been waiting for fucking 4 years to fucking say that. I'm still mad about it.
Couldn't tell.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
All right, so moving on. So we get to 2013. Now, this is a story that I am not familiar with. Heard a little bit about it, but we're talking about Joyland.
Yes, we are.
Uh-oh. So is this your guys' time to have a little rant, maybe?
Maybe.
The first syllable of this title is extremely misleading.
Okay.
Because there was no joy in this novel for me.
You are insane. I thought it was a cute novel.
Oh, here we go. See, now I can take a seat. I could just kind of sit back.
Oh, Vito's taking off his glasses. We're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
This is a cute novel, and that's not how it was marketed. That's not how it was marketed to me. To me, it was marketed as a murder mystery, amusement park, haunted house, ghost story. Mm-hmm. And that couldn't be farther from the fucking truth.
Okay.
Well, it's not true.
All right, there's a hint of that in maybe the last fucking 100 pages, if that.
It takes a while. It's Stephen King. It takes a while to build up. It does do that, but it is a shorter story.
It is. I don't even know. I forgot how many pages this is. I guess, would you call it a full novel? How many pages we got?
Or is that more of a novella?
I guess so. It's like 283 pages. So I guess that kind of falls into novella territory. Or just above novella.
Yeah, so it takes place in an amusement park. So there's your joy. And there is a haunted house. And there is a ghost in the haunted house.
Barely.
Now, what I was disappointed in was that I thought the main character was going to have interaction with this ghost or find the ghost and release the ghost or whatever. And he doesn't.
No.
He never even sees the ghost. Right. So I was a little disappointed in that. I'll give you that. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun coming of age story for that guy.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, I mean, I got through reading it just fine. I was just like, where is this going? And then it got somewhere. I was like, that's where you went. You didn't even go fucking anywhere. You just like stopped, and then you kind of pigeonholed this ghost story in where it's like nothing happened
Yeah, the
remotely
ghost
related
story
to
is
that the
kind
entire
of
time.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's basically him being depressed
Well-
or something, going to work at an amusement park, dressed up as a dog, and then he finds this old MILF that he ends up banging that's got like this son that's in a wheelchair, and then you're like, okay, and then what? Oh yeah, then we're going to go to the amusement park, and then there's this guy that's like got a sniper rifle or something, and then there's no ghost, or there might be a ghost, but we don't see the ghost.
There is a ghost. The little boy sees her leave. He saves her. He releases her into the spirit world. You guys can't see the look Vito just shot me, but he's not buying it at all.
No, I'm not a fan. See, and it even says hard case crime on the cover. What hard case crime was involved in this book?
Well, they found the killer and he was brought to justice.
Sorry, I'm not buying it. Yeah, I was not a fan of this book, and I was so excited because this was, I think, the next book I read immediately after 11/22/63 from King. I was like, oh, dude, this is gonna be awesome. This book was fucking great. I cannot wait to read this.
Yeah,
And
there's
then-
a problem there, yeah.
And then I was
That's
like,
a
what
bad
the fuck is this?
follow-up.
man? Yeah,
It's better than Lacey's story.
I'm sure it is from what you described. So.
Yeah, Lacey's story, I kept checking. I was like, this isn't, I read what it was supposed to be about. This isn't it. And I kept going back and reading the descriptions like, okay, yeah, that's what it says it is. And I kept reading. I was like, no, seriously, this isn't the same book. What book is this? And
Well, see, and that's why we're doing this for all you people out there. We're doing a public service because you cannot go by the way Stephen King books are titled and marketed and categorized because it's all bullshit.
Yep.
It's a lie. It's a goddamn lie. All right. So as far as Joyland goes, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I would give it a thumbs up. I thought it was enjoyable for a fun read. It's not like overly grotesque and horrific, but
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I read it in like 6 hours or something.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
a super
quick-
short one.
Yeah,
So thumbs down, Vito.
yeah, for me, thumbs down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
We got divisive. Maybe someday I'll read it and I'll try to break the. We'll see
Break the
which
tie.
one. Yeah, we'll figure out who's right and who's wrong.
there is no right and wrong.
I know, I'm joking. So moving on, another thing that came out in 2013 in terms of movie stuff and everything was the remake of Carrie. Now, I never saw it.
I
Did
have
you?
not either.
I saw it once on Netflix.
Okay, and
I enjoyed it. I thought it was just fine.
now how different was it from the original?
Man, it was a while since I've seen it, but obviously, I forgot what the chick's name is that plays Carrie. She's not,
Sissy
this.
Spacek or
Yeah,
whatever.
and she's not like this ugly, pimple-faced chick. Like she's like a really pretty girl. So you're like, well, why the fuck is she getting bullied? You know?
Oh,
That
it's
doesn't make-
it was Chloe
Chloe-
Grace Moretz.
there- yeah.
Chloe
Oh.
Grace Moretz is awesome.
Yeah. But I just thought like some of the action scenes were cool. The horrific blood stuff was cool.
Right.
The way she used her powers, and I don't know. I thought it was neat.
Okay.
It was more action-y than it was the original Carrie, where that was kind of more of a mood, atmospheric type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there wasn't obviously a lot of special effects, if any, in that movie. This one was more action-y special effects, which I dig.
But okay, so the thumbs up for the remake
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Okay,
We're
cool.
checking out, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those that I've been meaning to check out. Now, another book that I think, from the sounds of it, was received a little bit better by Megan, that came out the same year as Joyland, was the book for the follow-up to The Shining, which is Dr. Sleep.
Yes.
Now, you read that one,
I did read that one.
and
I would give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to follow up with Danny, get to see Danny and see how his life has turned out after The Shining in the hotel. And it's not all pretty fancy roses and stuff
No,
for
not
him.
at all.
It did not turn out well for him at all. He's a drunk and he's got to get his life together. And
but he doesn't suffer, without giving too much away, he doesn't wind up suffering the same fate as his father.
he does not.
And it gets more in depth into the whole story of what Shining is.
Yes.
And other people that have this power,
Correct.
and other people who try to usurp and feed off that power and stuff.
Correct. Yeah. They come in contact with the occult per se, and
Is it the gypsy people or whatever?
the gypsy kind of people, and they like to kidnap little children that have this kind of power. They can like sense it on them, and they, like Larry said, they feed off of it.
They're basically like energy vampires,
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, that feed off of Shining.
Yeah, so they obviously go toe to toe,
And so
shit goes down.
Danny gets involved in this and kind of becomes something of a hero or mentor or savior.
Both, yeah.
All
A little
these
of
kind
everything.
In this, and again, don't want to give anything away, especially don't want to give anything away because the movie is coming out next month, and we are going to see it.
Yes, we are.
We're going to see it because I don't know. Have you seen the trailers for it?
I haven't read the book
Dude.
either. So
Oh, I saw the trailer for it. I'm like, fuck yeah, this
I'm
looks
real interested
really
to see how
good.
they.
They're gonna put it
From
into a
when
2.5 hour movie. Yeah.
Yeah, when we saw the trailer, it's looked to be in line with what the book is. The one trailer we did see.
Yeah.
Other than her hat is straight up instead of at a ungodly angle, but
Okay. Yeah.
they're very specific about that in the book. So it's like, how is she wearing her hat like that? But
Okay. Yeah, maybe they'll address that. You never know.
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, and
We'll
it's
see. Hopefully it's more true to the book. If not, maybe the changes they make will be good and not like 11/22/63.
right. And it stars Ewan McGregor, who's one of my favorite actors. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, we're gonna not talk too much more about Dr. Sleep because hopefully we will go see the movie and then we'll talk a little more in depth about it. But as far as the book, yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
Yep. Definitely.
And Vito will just have to check it out. Maybe
I'll
at
wait
some
and
point.
see.
Yep. Moving on to another one that was a book and then an adaptation. We had 2014. We had the first of, I think there were 3 books that
correct.
actually.
It's a trilogy. For
It's
this
a
one.
trilogy, and the first book was Mr. Mercedes. Now, Meg, you're not familiar with Mr.
I have
Mercedes,
no
right?
idea about
but
this
you
one.
read Mr. Mercedes.
I did the audiobook for this one.
Right.
And it was really good, actually. I did not read the second or third one, and I have not seen the movie or TV show.
So
Yeah.
let's explain real quick about the book.
Basically, it's a serial killer who is taunting a police officer who is on the verge of committing suicide because he's had
Right.
it with living. And this guy kind of drags him back into it by sending him notes and saying, hey, this is me. I dare you to come find me. And he gives these clues.
Right.
So this guy gets on the case and tries to find out who he is. There's like a love story, and this serial killer is just fucked up, and the ending is pretty crazy.
Right.
And it leads up to the sequels, obviously. But there's one scene, man, that just really got me, where the serial killer, you get like a backstory of when he was growing up, and he had a little brother and his mom, and how his mom like turned her back when he like pushed him down the stairs. And that scene was like, holy fuck, dude, that's fucking crazy.
It's a dark book. I mean, saying that about Stephen King is kind of redundant. But yeah, Mr. Mercedes is a dark book. I did the same. I listened to the audiobook. I didn't read or listen to Finders Keepers or End of Watch. I want to. I heard that Finders Keepers and stuff, I heard mixed things about those and stuff. So again, it's another one of those things where it's sort of fallen by the wayside. But I haven't watched the series at all because I know that the series is supposed to kind of cover all of it, I think.
Okay.
It's supposed to be all 3.
I see.
Even though it's just called Mr. Mercedes, I believe. So I'm holding off on that. I've heard mixed things about it, but just based on the first book, yeah, I give it a thumbs up. It's worth looking into. It's worth listening to. You agree?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then we get into 2017 and 2019, which saw the 2-part movie series, which was the revisitation of It. We all saw this. Went and saw it that we just last month. We went and saw part 2 at the theater together. We did a movie review and I chose not to release it. And the reason being is because I felt like it would be better to talk about it now, like in the context of the whole thing and everything. They still took liberties and changed things. For one thing, they made it more modern-ish. They made it so that the kids grew up in the 80s, in 88, not 58, and then transposed it over to 20
18
or 2016
Yeah.
or whatever it was. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem with a lot of the changes. And there was some stuff that's different from the 90s miniseries that is cool because it's more like the book. And some of the stuff they did incorporate from the book, I'm like, oh, that's good. They added that in there. Like, I dug it. But I don't know, guys. The more I've thought about it since then, and I've watched both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of the new It. I've watched it a few times since. I like it less and less, and I really feel like I like the 1990 miniseries much, much better.
Well, it's almost perfection. So I would agree with you there.
I mean, I have criticisms of the 1990s miniseries, but it's mostly due to the constraints that it was under of the time.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about this in the first Stephen King episode, you know. But I feel like some of the stuff that they added to make it more dark or whatever in the new It, some of it was cool, and some of it was just like, it didn't actually scare me. Like, that was one of your main points.
I mean, yeah, I didn't find it scary at all. I thought Pennywise was supposed to be, again, is more of a mind fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that. It was more jump scares and stuff. And again, that's not as scary to me. That's not what I was expecting, especially in a movie form like this,
Right.
where they could have really fucked with us
and
fucked with all the characters. And I didn't get that. So that was my biggest gripe.
Yeah, it's funny that there's like people that are like now that sit there and say, oh, the Tim Curry Pennywise was so like funny and whatever. But, you know, the Skarsgård Pennywise is so fucking scary, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think so.
No, man,
I disagree. I feel like the
Chapter 1 does definitely have some scary parts to it, for sure.
I enjoyed Chapter 1 much more than Part 2. I liked the kids and everything better. I liked the kid actors and stuff. I thought they did a good job choosing the kids. I felt like it was more suspenseful, especially that whole scene when they go to the house. That was really suspenseful. There was a lot of you know, tense moments in there. And I
love the second one as a comedy.
Yes.
Because we laughed our asses off during that movie, man.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not going to, we can't make it sound like it's all bad because we enjoyed it, but I don't think we enjoyed it for
the right reasons.
All the right reasons. I didn't enjoy it as a horror movie.
Not at all.
No.
Bill Hader was just incredible.
Him and Eddie as adults, like that's the fucking movie, dude. That dude stole the show.
They absolutely stole the show, man. Thinking about that. Yeah, like if I'm in the mood to watch something that's going to make me laugh like that and everything, absolutely, I'll watch it. But
I think there was two parts of the second one where I literally felt uncomfortable watching it and actually kind of scared. And one of the most uncomfortable parts was that beginning intro where they were beating those two gay guys up.
That was
was like, holy
that
shit,
was
dude,
hard.
this is fucking brutal, man.
But that was taken directly from the book. And that was one of the things that I said, yes, that was good.
Yes.
And I appreciate that they kind of started with that, even though it's horrific, but it sets the tone of what you're supposed to expect. But you don't
and
get
it fell
that
apart from
at
there.
all, you know?
Yeah, the rest of the movie just didn't live up to that. And then the ending,
Yeah, fuck that.
Oh my God. That's
I don't want to spoil it for people. We've been pretty good about not
So
spoiling the
fucking
endings,
lame.
but the ending is so lame.
Not just the ending, just what they did with Mike's character just really pissed me off, dude.
I know you didn't like that. I didn't like it either. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered you. But I just, even what they did with it, the way they so-called defeat it at the end, I'm like, that's it? Like, no pun intended. Like that's all you got? Like that... You know, it was, I again, folks, you'll have to watch it. I mean, I know it's, again, I guess they felt like, well, it's a little bit more true to the book or whatever. Oh, man.
If they did that, they might as well go all the way with the damn turtle.
Yeah.
If you're going to go there, just go.
Because they were hinting it all over the place during
they
Chapter
were.
1 and Chapter 2. So I
I'll
was
be
fully
honest
expecting
with you.
it.
I'll be honest with you. At this point, at the way it ended, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I would have just been more accepting if you just went straight book and added the fucking mystical turtle into it.
Yep.
I'm going to give the It Chapter 1 and 2 remakes, I'm going to give it a thumbs up because it is enjoyable. right? I mean, I
Yeah,
think we
for
all
sure.
enjoy it.
Yes.
It's
Each one is enjoyable for its own reason, though.
and
So,
it does have scary parts in it. The first one in particular.
Yeah, dude.
The
there's-
weird things in the background, those
Yeah.
people
He's
creeping around in the background.
Muschietti's really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
man.
and right.
I forgot about the old lady.
in chapter 2.
The two.
Oh,
when she
yeah.
See?
It's funny because when I saw the trailer for that, I was like, "Holy shit, that's gonna be so fucking scary!" But then
Oh
when we
my
saw,
God.
we're like, "Holy shit, that's so fucking funny, man!"
Yeah. And I think that was unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. There's so many things there's a bunch of things right about the new It.
Chapter 2, I think the best right moment was that little girl under the bleachers.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was scary.
They should have
Yeah.
opened the movie with that fucking scene, man.
That was scary.
Yeah, that
you know?
was disturbing.
That
I
was
understand why
legit-
they opened it with the gay couple, but that had no relevance to the rest of the movie.
Right.
You know,
Right. And
Well, didn't it set where
yeah,
something's wrong with Derry? The people in
yes,
Derry.
it did, and
Normal people don't beat people up like that.
And it's a little confusing because it went after them, but they were adults. Where it usually will go after children, not adults.
well, but that was one of my biggest complaints was that about part 2 is that it didn't emphasize enough the sickness of the town.
Right.
It didn't emphasize the fact that all these murders happened and all these kids were allowed to be murdered or be pieces of shit like Henry and his
Yeah.
friends. They were allowed to do that because there was a sickness. There was this weird, like, possession, whatever, that came over the town from it, whatever the fuck it was, being there. It caused the adults to have this kind of blindness and this perversion of their sensibilities and everything. And that was a big part. And even in the so-called lesser 1990 miniseries, they fucking addressed that. They didn't address it a ton, but they addressed it enough that you understood.
Yeah.
You understood why these things happened and that people would constantly turn a blind eye to all the perversions that happened in Derry and all this stuff. And they glossed over it in this one. They glossed over it in part 2. And they could have had a strike, but
they struck out.
yeah, they just struck out on it. So it's worth seeing. But if you're expecting it to be just like so much more scary and advanced from the 90s miniseries, you're probably going to be disappointed. At least if you think like the three of us do.
Yeah.
All right, we're winding down here. We don't have too much more to talk about. In 2018, it was announced that they were starting a series on Hulu, which I have to admit, because of my bad experience with Hulu and 11/22/63, I did not rush out to immediately watch this, and I only just recently started looking into it and giving it a chance, which is Castle Rock. Now, Vito, have you watched any of it?
Nope.
Megan, you have.
I've watched a few episodes.
Yeah. And your assessment?
I am enjoying it. It's really dark, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, from what I know, from what little I've seen and what I've read and everything, it's dark, but it's good. It's good.
good.
And it's cool, man. Like, it's one of those things where, especially if you are versed in Stephen King canon, like all his characters, blah, 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 it revisits a bunch of places. Shawshank is in there.
Shawshank, The Shining, The Stand, It, Carrie.
There's
Wow.
references.
Needful Things. I mean, you name it.
what's her name? Annie
Wilkes?
Wilkes.
She's in
Really?
it. And yeah, they get into a bunch. It's almost like a sequel at some points.
And this
In
new
season 2.
is going to be like Misery versus Salem's Lot.
Right.
Mashup.
It's bringing it all
Is this
together.
like the Super
together.
Smash Brothers of movies or something like that? Is that what this is?
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
a Stephen King fan, this is for you.
But it's not done in some sort of like, Ready
Hokey
Player
pokey.
One kind of
Okay,
way or
alright.
something where it's like, you're going to suddenly see like Barlow fighting alongside Annie Wilkes and all. It's not that, but it's in that universe.
Okay.
And it's done kind of like in a Kevin Smith
Yeah,
a
okay.
Skewniverse kind of way where you're like, there's references to things and there's little things and you're like, wait a minute, Oh, I know that place. That's from this book. Or, oh, that character was in this.
Oh, that's cool.
And and then what they also did was there's tons of actors from all the different movies. Sissy Spacek is in there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Tim Robbins is in there.
Melanie Linsky.
Melanie Linsky from Rose Red is in there and plays like and they're playing different characters. They're not playing Carrie and and Andy Dufresne and all that. Then there's references to some of the things with that, talking about Shawshank Prison and all this stuff. But Tim Robbins is in there, but he's not Andy Dufresne.
I
So
gotcha. Okay.
it's a little bit of fan service in that regard, but not, like I said, it's not corny. It's not cornball at all.
So it's like a totally original, made for this specifically kind of
Yes.
story. Okay.
all brand new stories and stuff, and really good.
Cool.
Worth watching.
All right.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
wait
definitely
to
gonna
really
keep
watch
watching.
it.
Definitely thumbs up.
And then let's see, we got just a couple more. This one though, I think you guys are familiar with, which was 2019. So we're in the modern times.
Yeah, this came out this month?
Yeah.
In the tall grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
October.
I heard about this from our buddy Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, did
At
you?
Seymour Duncan. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was telling me, he was like, dude, you got to check this out and everything. Yeah.
So I have not seen it yet, but Megan has.
I did watch it, and it's kind of the 1408 thing where you're stuck in an endless loop of complete horror, and it's like, I don't want to give too much away, but a circle of people. It's only 6 characters in this whole movie plus a dog.
Hope nothing happens to the dog.
I'm not
Oh,
saying
my
a
God.
word.
Man, come on, Steven. Leave the dog alone.
Nobody stays in a state for long
Okay.
because it's a repeat.
Mm.
It's a loop.
It's a looper thing.
It's a loop thing.
Oh, so this fucks with you probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I did enjoy this one, because again, it's that stuck in the loop, complete horror, and how do you stop this loop? So
Okay.
and it kind of has like an ancient Indian
Burial ground?
No burial ground, but it's a big ass fucking rock right in the middle of this field of tall grass, and it's supposed to be set smack dab in the middle of the U.S. It's been there before anything else was ever in the U.S. Indians,
Okay.
anything,
Sasquatch,
everything.
What if Sasquatch lives in the rock?
Ooh.
No, because demons live in the rock.
What if
Are there demon
Sasquatch is a fucking
Sasquatches?
demon?
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be a demon Sasquatch.
You never know.
Bigfoot
I
demons.
guess.
We
If
don't
they
know that
don't
much
have
about
hair.
Sasquatches.
Bigfoot
they're-
demons,
The
man.
slimy Sasquatch. It's hard to say.
Slimy Sasquatch.
Yeah, so with it only being 6 characters, and who knew tall grass could be so fucking scary, but you're like, ugh.
Well, he went with corn. He's figured, well,
Right.
Yeah, why not just tall grass?
wheat might be out of the option, but grass, now there's a story.
Yeah, and they kept getting it out of their faces. It's like, oh, you're gonna get grass cuts. That's gonna hurt.
One comment I saw was they thought it was a remake of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's a fucked up remake.
That's
I
funny.
can see that.
Well,
They're
then
not
if it
attacked
did-
by any bugs or anything.
But see, imagine if it was, and they did have a Sasquatch, then it could be like a mashup between Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Harry and the Hendersons.
There you go.
There you go.
And that is fucking gold.
But in this, the field, the tall grass basically moves everything. Like you could start out right next to somebody, and then you turn around, and they're like 10 foot away from you. But in tall grass, you can't see them. So they're like jumping up, trying to see where they are. And you jump up, and they're like 5 feet away. You jump up again, they're 20 feet away.
Ooh.
You're like, that's unsettling.
Ooh,
But you never moved.
That's cool.
And
That's cool.
and then so they're like trying to run and find each other, but of course it's hard to find each other. But it turns out the field can't move dead things. So when somebody dies, you have to keep going back to their body because that doesn't move. That's how you find things in the field.
Oh, okay.
So it's the opposite of the time displacement unit in the Terminator franchise. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought it was very, very well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'll
It
have to
freaked
check
me
it
out. So
Yeah, because when I did some reading up on it, I found out that the director of Cube and Splice did this movie.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a huge fan of Cube
Cube
and
and
Splice.
Splice, yeah.
So, and Cube doesn't deal with this specifically, but I see some correlation between the two. So I think that's pretty neat.
Moving on, then another Megan one was 2019's The Institute.
Yes. Now, I haven't finished this one. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. But this one is giving me very much Fringe and Stranger Things vibes.
Right.
Because it's about kids that have special abilities. Like the main one, Luke, he can move things with his mind. Just small things. He's not very good at it. Just when he's mad or something, he can move it. And he's extremely intelligent, too. And he ends up getting kidnapped. His parents are murdered. And he gets kidnapped and taken to the Institute. And he finds all these other kids there. And they do all these testing on them. And they're told it's for the greater good, that they're going to be in this...
For your country.
For your country and everything. And that they're going to be in this front half that does some testing and everything on them. And they're super brutal to these kids. They beat the shit out of these kids. In addition to torturing them with the testing and everything. And they can buy, like, get these tokens when they cooperate. They get tokens. And they can use that to buy, like, booze and cigarettes and stuff. And these kids are like 6, 7, whatever, 12. And that's what they're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, figure why not? They're going to put us through all this. So easiest way to get through it is to be drunk half the time. Best you can be anyway, at least half lit. And then says that after a certain amount of time, it's like a month. It's not a very long time. They go to what's called the back half. And so I'm just getting kind of into that where it's told that they watch movies as a group and they get bad headaches from it and stuff. And there's a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, and these people seem off their fucking rockers from what it sounds like. I think they've been susceptible to these testings as well a little bit.
Right. So it's got a whole kind of MK Ultra testing kind of thing.
Yeah,
to
I
it.
from this description, I'm thinking of like 3 or 4 different things. Stephen King's Firestarter.
Right.
A TV show called The Pretender that used to be on like Channel 9 or something.
I remember
like
that.
And there's one more that I cannot think of right now.
And very much a Stranger Things influence.
Very much.
And I'd be surprised if he would actually deny that, because he's been very vocal about being a huge fan, Stephen King is, of Stranger Things. He loves Stranger Things. I mean, and it's just funny. It's kind of chicken or the egg kind of thing, because it's like, well, he was writing this story. He's got the Institute. It's very Stranger Things influence. People go, oh, it's a ripoff of Stranger Things. But it's like, yeah, but Stranger Things is a ripoff of so many King tropes from the 70s and 80s. So it's all,
Nice family loop.
It's all just right. It's just all influencing each other, which is fine. I mean, that's great. As long as what he's doing with it is its own thing, which it sounds like it is.
Yeah, I read the summary of the book, and I was like, dude, I got to get this fucking thing. So your description is making me even more want to go get it tonight.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm going through it pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I got about, this is the audio book, and it's about 18 hours long. I got about 5 hours left.
Right.
It's like 196 chapters, and each chapter is like 3 minutes long.
Oh,
Of that. I was like, why do you, okay.
Sometimes that's good because you feel like you're really going through a story.
Well, because I was like, oh, I'm on chapter 129. I only got 5 hours left. I can't have that many more chapters. Maybe 4 or 5 more chapters. No, there's 196 more chapters. I was like, oh. But at least they're all stupid short.
Yeah.
Is this a thumbs up then?
Yes, I'm very much enjoying this.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear what you think of it once it's over.
I'm done. Yeah, I was doing my best to get it done. I was listening all day at work to it. Trying to get through it.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all of them. The only other one to kind of recommend, or I'm not really going to recommend, but to mention that I don't care for, granted, I didn't care for the original that much, although I thought it was well done, is they did another remake of Pet Sematary that came out this year. I watched it, some of it on Plex and everything kind of. Admittedly, I didn't watch it, like sit down and really pay as close of attention as I probably should have, but I saw enough of it to get the gist of what was going on. I know the story, I know the book, I read the book and everything. It's another one where it's like, they try to do some jump scare type stuff and everything, and it's like, okay, I don't know. I felt like this one, in some ways, it is more similar to the book than the 1988 or 89 version of it, but there's still some differences. And I don't know, maybe I felt like the other one was sad. You know,
the book itself is super fucking sad.
Super
man.
sad, yeah. And I thought that the 80s movie version did a pretty good job of being pretty sad. You know what I mean? It's like...
Plus, it has Tasha Yar in it.
Yes. I love the movie ending of the original Pet Sematary, though, man.
Right.
It was like, holy shit, dude. That's fucking creepy.
Yeah. This one is different, and it's got different ending. And they actually there's 2 different endings for it. They filmed an alternate ending for it, too. And again, I won't talk about it because I don't want to spoil it for people. But if you're into that, I know some people, they fucking love some Pet Sematary and everything. So it's worth at least checking it out for the differences and how they changed some stuff. There's some interesting twists they put in there compared to the original, but... And with that, I think we're done, man. I think we are finally done with King. I mean, you know, you're talking 40 plus, you know, almost getting close to 50 years worth of stuff that we covered. I mean, I know it's been how many hours of it, I think, between the one we put out in May of 2018 and now these few episodes, we're looking at 5 or 6 hours worth of retrospective. But I'm sorry, folks, what else can you do?
It could have been way longer.
It could have been. I mean, we omitted a lot of stuff. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. It's kind of interesting wrapping that up and everything. Thank you for listening. As always, like, share, subscribe. Doing a podcast is really tough, trying to build up a following, getting feedback from people. Please let us know, good or bad, what you like, what you didn't like, all that stuff. If you know anybody, if you got a brother-in-law or a friend or a coworker that you go, oh, they like horror, they like Stephen King, they like geeky stuff, share this with them. You know, it's free. Doesn't cost a dime. We're putting this out for you guys, and
just for pure entertainment.
Yeah, just you know, just to keep you all entertained and laugh at, you know, our misfortune. Yeah, you know. So share it around, and we will be back soon. So peace out, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
And happy Halloween.
Ooh.